What's up, guys? So, as I said, it has been a year and a half since I've been doing this. I have grown the collection quite a bit for the ones that have been following me since day one. Like I said, with the PVC racks and then upgrading to the Freedom Breeder racks. The biggest takeaway that I got from that, which I believe I did right starting off, was I bought the cheaper PVC racks to start off because I was buying the hatchlings and growing up my hatchlings with the genes that I wanted. When I did that, the PVC racks are obviously a little cheaper than the Freedom Breeder ones. Obviously, you're gonna have to grow up regardless, so you don't necessarily need a really expensive rack to start off. In my opinion, the going in on the snakes purchases and like what I wanted to work with was far more important than a Freedom Breeder rack at that time, because what's the point of having, this expensive rack, but I don't have the money for the snakes at that time, and you gotta grow them up anyhow. And obviously a hatchling rack, isn't gonna, the hatchlings aren't going to fit in, the V70. That's gonna be too big of a tub, so you might have problems with them eating and whatnot, and they might be stressed out. So you're gonna end up having to buy, you figure at least maybe another rack for like when they get up to size, regardless. And you're gonna be more focused on upgrading your racks again than you are with your snake purchases. But people do it differently. I did it differently. I went more higher end ball pythons, with the PVC rack being my first one. If you guys remember, I bought the Sea Serpents adult one. That was a 6 tub one, and I just upgraded after that. And then I ended up right here, got one of these with the incubator. This is the V18 rack, I believe, and I use those for my grow-ups, hatchlings. I can keep them in there till about 900 grams, and then I can switch them over to the Freedom Breeder. So to me, that's just cheaper for me because I can focus more time and money on my snakes, which is going to end up making you more money. So depending on like what you're working with or like what you want to do, obviously. So that was one takeaway that I did learn. I talked to Carr. He got the ARS clear tubs. Based off his experience, I would tell you, talking with him, he said that the clear tubs were a pain because of the light, and it's easier for them to be in a dark space and stuff like that. And he said all his ball pythons at that time, when he switched them over, went off food for about a month or so. And then until he blacked out the sides, and then they went back on food eventually. So take that for what it is, guys, with the racks. As far as snake wise, obviously you're going to want to buy your females first. I highly recommend that as well. I went kind of male heavy at the very beginning. It wasn't a terrible thing, but now I got all these males that are ready, and now my females are just starting to get ready. So it should be a big fall this year for me, breeding wise. I got a couple powerhouse pairings that are going to be nice. We're going to try to prove some stuff out. So that's going to be interesting. I hope that goes. So you're going to take about, 2 to 3 years, on average, to grow up your females. And it's only going to take you about a year and a half for your males to get ready to start breeding. So that was, I was buying so much at the time, like they were pretty close within each other anyhow. And I've slowed down a lot, and I mean a lot, within this year or whatever with buying. I bought everything like right away. I went hard on it because you're going to have to grow these up unless you buy the adult breeders. And your adult breeders that people are giving away aren't going to be the powerhouse, genes that you may necessarily want. So you may have to invest a little bit more into what you want than, just jumping into it and just getting ready to breed. Before you decide that you want to breed, I would definitely recommend it is, do you have the food source? Do you have the space? Breed what you want, breed what you like, and breed what you can keep. Because even if it doesn't sell, I can still use it in my projects and stuff like that. It's not a big deal. And then you can eventually, use it, breed it, and then maybe you can turn around and sell it for a little bit more as a proven breeder or adult. So if your hatchlings don't sell right away, like, don't panic and whatnot, because like I said, I can, if you hit the odds and stuff and the sex odds, you can end up using those in your projects as well, even though you didn't want to hold them back. So keep that in mind as well. I do have my own food source as well, so that helps with the food, and not having to always try to find food, and it's cheaper as well. I do know that Carr does spend around talking with him about $200+ a week on food for him because like stuff's so expensive over in Washington. So that's something to keep in mind as well. If you can breed rodents, I definitely would, and I always have. So that, I mean, I go through 36 rats easily a week. I do feed weekly. So that's something to keep in mind as well when first starting off. Make sure you know how to ID your genes and how to sex. That was definitely key because you don't want to be, that breeder that's misidentifying genes or doesn't know how to sex ball pythons. You're selling someone a male but ends up being a female, and they might be mad now because they needed that male for their project, and now you have a problem where you're going to have to make it right. So I definitely make sure that you know how to sex. You can probe or pop. If you don't know, there's YouTube videos out there. Just practice, practice, practice. Took me a while to learn it, but I got it down. With that, what else have I learned this year? Oh, when buying my snakes and stuff. So obviously you guys know I had the knee surgery and stuff like that. So I was out of work for 2 months. In that process or whatever, I had a couple snakes on hold. I had probably more than what I can bite off at that time, but I was going to find a way to get them, and I was close. But what ended up happening was I blew my knee out. When I blew my knee out, I wasn't working for 2 months. I lost that income, so I couldn't pay these breeders for these snakes that I had. So now if I would have only had maybe 1 or 2 on hold instead of 4, even though 1 was paid off, I did have to get a refund with that because it was being assist fed at that time, and I didn't want to deal with that at that moment because I said I just needed the money at the time because at that time I blew out my knee and stuff. So I took the refund on that. I mean, it wasn't the breeder's fault. It's no big deal. But I would definitely say if you're going to buy snakes and stuff, only buy 1 or 2 at a time that you can afford at that time if you're going to put it on hold. Don't put 4 or 5 on hold because it's not going to end up well. I did learn that one. So sometimes, you just have to experience it. As well as with my first clutch as well, I did a simple pairing. I made sure my process was right. I would definitely recommend that. Make sure your incubation's right. Make sure, all your parameters with your incubators are correct. Do that simple clutch first, even though it may not be the sexiest things. That way, if something goes wrong, you're not sitting there messing up a high dollar clutch, say like a 30, 40,000, whatever, amount of clutch because your incubator's wrong or something happened. Things are going to happen, don't get me wrong, but when you first get your incubator and stuff like that, like, we want to make sure that everything's okay. So in order for me to do that, I did this simple, pairing. I did try to do 2 other females, but they just didn't go. The one was still kind of young. It was worth a shot. I mean, she was pretty big. She wasn't ready yet, which is fine. The other one, the Super Lemon Pastel, Super Vanilla, didn't go for me because that was when her tub caught on fire. So I believe that she got stressed out and she reabsorbed on me. So I only had the 1 this year, which was fine because I still was able to test my process, test my incubator, and got to experience that. So that was well worth the experience right there, just doing that simple clutch. I said I should have 5 or 6 females go this fall, I hope, but you gotta think that maybe 1 or 2 might not go. So we'll see what happens. So definitely I would recommend doing less, money pairing first for your first clutch when you're first getting into it to make sure you have everything down instead of trying to waste time on this really high dollar, clutch that you're trying to get, and then you get it, but you're like, oh crap, my incubator's messed up, or whatever the case may be, or I didn't do this right, and now you wasted that whole year trying to breed that female, and you have to wait probably another 2 years or a year and a half to be able to breed her again because she has to recover from her eggs. So that's just something to keep in mind, guys. Trying to think, there was something else. What else have I learned doing this? I mean, I've had so many people that I have friendships and stuff that I had because of this. Make sure you socialize with people, network. I met a lot of great friends. This is a great industry. So I can't think of anything offhand more that I can, recommend or tell you about my experience at this time. I just had the 1 clutch, so my season's pretty much done. Oh, there was actually something else. Ultrasound. If you don't know how to palpate very good, which I did not at the time, ultrasounding it's phenomenal. I do have an ultrasound and I love it to death. The easiest thing about ultrasound is like you can see exactly where that female is with follicles. So if you're sitting there, you're trying to pair, say you have a powerhouse male and you're trying to give him to like 4 or 5 females, you don't want to necessarily overuse him where he gets tired, he'll go off food. So if you're just guessing and you don't know exactly where the female at, I mean, it happens. I mean, if you don't have one, you don't have one. But the advantage of having an ultrasound is like you probably really shouldn't pair until they're like 15 millimeters, I think it was, like 20 millimeters, somewhere around that range with a male. So if you're pairing, 9 millimeters and you don't know it, I mean, that's going to jumpstart the female, yes. But as well as it could wear your male out, because if he's trying to go to 4 or 5 different females, you might have a problem. He might stop breeding for you, or he might completely go off food, and it's going to be hard for him to go back or whatever. You might have problems with that. So with the ultrasound, you can see exactly where the female is, so you don't have to pair too early. So you can kind of save your males a little bit. So that's like one of the huge things that I did learn, because when I was pairing my Mojave Ghost, I was doing it way too soon. She wasn't even ready yet. I mean, she was, because she was locking, but her follicles wasn't where it made really a big difference with the sperm and stuff like that, with her getting that, because they were so small. The follicles at that time were so small. By the time I ultrasounded her, she was probably getting ready to almost ovulate, and I had no idea. I mean, I kind of had a guess, but it was way easier to confirm with an ultrasound. So if you can get an ultrasound, I definitely recommend it. Bite the bullet on it. It's well worth the money. It'll save you a lot of time and hassle and guessing work. But if you can't, it is what it is. Like I said, you can get them over on Amazon for pretty decently, like $1,500. You don't need anything really expensive. I mean, just something to get the job done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some great insight on like what's going on, with me and how I've, experienced this so far. Like I said, it's been about 2 years, like in October is when I first started. So I'll keep you guys updated. We'll be dropping some more videos here soon. I got my fingers crossed on this season. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We are doing a 500 subscriber giveaway for this channel. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it helped. Any questions, shoot me a comment, message me on Instagram, whatever. It does not matter. I will try to help you the best I can. Take care, guys. We're out.